see everyone again. I'm Professor John Down, and today we've got the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Management major to talk about, as well as the E-Scholars program. And we also have with us in the audience, I think, Peter Ricord, who's Director of the Center for Entrepreneurship. So after the panelists have had some time to share their stories, then we're going to turn the mic over to Peter, and he's just going to fill you all in on some of the opportunities that are available through the Center for Entrepreneurship here on campus. So we've got a great panel here for you tonight. I'll just briefly introduce them. Won't go into too much detail because they'll all be telling their stories. But we're going to start with Professor Howard Feldman, who teaches in the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Management major, teaches management, social entrepreneurship classes. So he'll talk a little bit about the details of the major. And then Ava Seal, who is a recent grad, just graduated last May, right? Class of 13, and works at Java Software, which I'm sure she'll tell you a bit more about when she gets to speak. And then we have Kurt Burning, who graduated a year and a half ago now, right? Class of 2012. And I forgot to point out, but Ava has two majors. She has one of the first EIM major, because it is a new major on campus here, and also a finance degree. And Kurt is an OTM major and also finance. So, but both Ava and Kurt did the Entrepreneur Scholars program, which was something that came up a little bit last time when we had Megan Anderson. So I will turn it over to you, Howard. Thank you guys for being here. Let's all give them a round of applause.
Thank you, John. I hope you can hear me in the back. First of all, thank you for inviting me this evening. I'm delighted to be here. I'd like to just start by posing a question for you to consider. I know that you're freshmen and you're thinking about majors, minors, career paths. I'd like you to consider this question. I'd like you to think out about 25 years from now and think about what you would like to have your life look like. Would it be having a home at the beach, in the mountains, multiple cars, multiple children, hopefully finishing college rather than just beginning? What kind of job would you like to have if you want to have a job? I'd like you to think about what you would like your life to look like 25 years from now, and then ask yourself the question, can I achieve those goals working for someone else? Working for someone else? Or am I more likely to be able to achieve what I want to achieve working for myself? Starting my own business, being accountable to, so to speak, no one but myself, plus the bank, plus a lawyer, plus an insurance agent, and so on and so forth. There's a gentleman that we talk about in my social entrepreneurship class. His name is Muhammad Yunus. He's I believe it's the 2006 Nobel Prize winner for economics. He's also the founder of Grameen Bank. He's the father of microfinance. Grameen Bank has turned into about almost 30 other different businesses around the world. And he has a real simple, let's call it, slogan that he uses. And that is that we're all entrepreneurs, but too few of us actually get to practice it. The Entrepreneurship and Innovation Management major will hopefully give you the opportunity to practice those skills. Entrepreneurial skills, thinking outside the box, thinking inside the box, thinking about different ways to approach problems. What we teach in our classes, we believe works in small businesses, medium-sized businesses, large businesses, your own business, someone else's business. What we're trying to really get across to students is what we call entrepreneurial thinking. Entrepreneurial thinking. You might ask yourself, what or who is an entrepreneur? The best definition that I've ever come across, and there are lots of them, the best definition I've come across is it's a person who's going to do everything they can to keep from getting a job. To keep from getting a job. I like that definition. I really do. What is it that is involved in this whole process of being an entrepreneur? What's exciting about it? What's sexy about it? What's glamorous about it? It's a lot of work. I mean, an incredible amount of work. But if you talk to entrepreneurs, you'll hear them say they wouldn't trade it for anything else. You're going to deal with vision, you're going to deal with perseverance, you're going to deal with passion, with commitment, with energy, with excitement. You're going to deal with motivation, you're going to deal with calculated risk-taking. And in some cases, it might be more than just calculated risk-taking. You're going to learn how to build teams. You're going to learn how to sense an opportunity. Really, what we're trying to do is recognize that you're going to be, so to speak, confronted or have the opportunity to join lots of different opportunities. Things are going to come across in front of you, in front of your desk. You're going to have family members, friends, colleagues who are going to approach you at some point in time in your life and say, I've got a great idea. And what we're attempting to do is to give you the foundation so that you can sift through those ideas and think about, is this just a good idea, or is it really an opportunity that I can build on? So we deal with a lot of other issues. We deal with things such as OPR, other people's resources. Learn to use other people's resources. That includes other people's money. What could be better than using other people's money? So there's a whole lot more that's involved in this major as well as in the minor. In terms of classes, we have a set of classes, and you can certainly go online, check them out. You can talk to Montana, Christine Naylor. You can come in to see myself or John Down, or you can talk to Peter McCord or Sam Holloway or anyone else who teaches in the area. But there are 27 credit hours required, like all the others. The courses that we ask you to take start off with a course in innovation. We're talking about how do you manage innovation within an organization? How do you be innovative as an individual or as an organization? We have you take a class in marketing research so that you learn how to kind of gauge the market that's out there. We have you take a class in strategic controls that deals with a whole host of different things related to how do you control a business as it's evolving over time and growing. We have a class in new venture finance and accounting that talks about funding sources. What are they? How do you get them? So on and so forth. We have a couple of other classes, one on opportunity assessment. Again, what's the difference between just a good idea and an opportunity? We have a class on venture launch. And what we've tried to do is to set up a bit of a sequence between these courses so that you can start off with the idea, you can test it, so to speak, academically, check the market, and then hopefully go through an implementation process, launching your idea. Part of it is also being engaged in the 100K challenge, which John is very familiar with, and Peter is very familiar with as our panelists, and they can talk to you a little bit more detail. But that's a tremendous opportunity to take an idea and to get potentially $50,000 worth of funding down the road, plus another $50,000 of in-kind services. It's a great opportunity for students. We have a number of electives, those you can check. I teach one of them, it's social entrepreneurship. It's all about creating a career with impact, okay? Leading a life of meaning. What we're finding today is people want more than just going to work from 9 to 5 and getting a paycheck. They want to have a meaningful life. They want to do things that are meaningful. And that's what we talk about in the social entrepreneurship class. It's all about identifying a moment of obligation, your ability to think big, the nerve to think big. It's about new and untested ideas, and it's about seeing opportunities where others just simply see problems. So those are some of the things that we talk about in social entrepreneurship, and I'll be happy to address in more depth as we go on this evening if you have any questions.
Hi, guys. Hi, I'm Ava, and I was just here a couple of weeks ago, it seems like, but now I guess it's been months. But first of all, I want you all to pat held back for even being business majors in the first place, because everyone I know that was a business major has a job now, and a lot of my friends that weren't still don't have jobs or are doing jobs that are not enjoyable. So good job. So I came in to UP knowing that I wanted to do business but having no idea, and I actually dabbled in every single major because at one point I was concrete that I was going to do this one. I was like, going to do marketing, I'm going to do finance, accounting, OTM, I said I was going to do all of them. And then finally I decided going into my junior year, I was like, I'm going to do finance no matter what. And then I also studied abroad, so I knew I could double major because I had enough credits that were in the summer. And so I decided I was going to be OTM, like for finance and OTM. And as I'm taking my OTM classes, I was like, these are really helpful, I'm learning a lot, but I was kind of miserable and bored and just didn't think they were very interesting. And no offense to any OTM majors in here, Dr. Mitchell is extremely intelligent. But then the EIM major sort of was born, and I just decided to hop on board and go for it, and then also at the same time apply for eScholars, which I got into. And I'm sure Kurt will agree with me, eScholars is a phenomenal program. So what it entails is that you basically go into it with a business idea or without one. I didn't have one going into it. And you pretty much form all the steps that come about creating a business. So you make a financial plan for it. You have to set up business meetings with professionals in the field and interview them and network and talk. So we went to New York in the fall. In the spring we went to Colorado, did an elevator pitch competition. And then in this, for spring break, my group went to Brazil, and the other half of our group went to Vietnam. So even just reaching out to random contacts in Brazil that I didn't know, through LinkedIn or something, was just really nerve-wracking, but completely invaluable in that I was putting myself out there and being really uncomfortable, but you grow so much, and to watch the confidence of the other kids in my class from start to finish, it's invaluable. So everyone should do it, it's super fun, yeah. So now, I graduated and am working at a company called JAMA Software, which is downtown in the Pearl. And I actually live less than a mile away from my office, so I get to walk to work every day. And I started as an intern through a connection of a fellow eScholar, which I didn't know at the time. So when I came to UP, I don't know how, but I befriended a lot of upperclassmen that were 1 and 2 years above me. And one of them really took me under her wing. And she was the one that heard about this part-time internship and was like, come on Eva, you should apply for this. It'll be interesting, it's operations. And at this time I already dropped operations, and I was like, no, I just want to be finance and entrepreneurship. She was like, it's a small company, it's a startup, it's pretty cool, I've heard great things. It's like, okay, I'll go for it. So I go into my interview, and it was a really cool office. They have a keg, that was neat, and unlimited trail mix, which was pretty cool. But the internship that they were offering was only going to be part-time, and it was only going to be operations in their services department. And I told them, I said, look, when I graduate from college, I need to have a full-time job. So if this is going to be my backup, basically, if I don't have a full-time job. But I will graduate with a full-time job. I just had my heart set on it. And they really liked me, and so they found a way to overlap it with another department, the finance department. So I ended up doing this internship that was crossing two paths, and that turned into a full-time position too. So now I have benefits and stuff. But it's really rare because when you work in a small company, there are a ton of there's just so much ambiguity everywhere, and my position was formed, and I just kind of had to morph along with it as the company's growing. I think I was employee 65, and today our headcount was 94, so that's just in the last 6 months, which has been crazy cool to be a part of. And I've just been entrusted with so much more than I would if I worked at a big company. Right when I got there, there was no file organization for all of the HR files, so everyone's records, random personal information, stuff like that. It was just all kind of strewn about everywhere, and so there's only a couple people that have been entrusted with knowing that information, and I've been one of them, and I organized all of it, so that was really satisfying. And then another cool thing I've gotten to do is help out with our budgets. So it was actually the same basic pro forma income statement that I made when I was in eScholars. I got to see apply to our company, which is really cool because I think only like 3 people, including the CEO, have access to that. So I don't know, I've been entrusted with so much working at a small company, and I really recommend working for JAMA if you guys get an opportunity. I'd love to talk about it more. In terms of just like college in general, I wanted to address something that I didn't know my freshman year. My dad is a college professor. He teaches English at Pacific Lutheran University. And I came home for winter break and I was just wearing like yoga pants and a sweatshirt or something. And my dad was just, he made some comment. He's like, I hope you don't wear that to class. And I'm thinking, I was like, what difference does that make? Like, of course I do every day, like, whatever, it doesn't matter. And he's just like, the kids in my class that wear sweats all the time, they don't care. They just like lean back and it just shows. And I was like, I care. Like, I want to make a difference. Like, I do all my homework, and it just like your teachers don't wear sweatpants, so like you don't need to either. It's like the same amount of effort as putting on jeans. So dress respectfully, and you'll be respected. And then also, it's really important to have fun too. Just make sure you have your priorities in order. Like, if you want to go out and party, like all weekend, then just study all before. You have a big test coming up on Monday. Like, just have your everything together. So that's what I would say for now.
I just want to say a little something real quick about how great the P4 program in business school is in general. You will come out of this, if you stick with being a business major for all of your years, with so much practical knowledge that you can apply to jobs. Actually, my senior year, I was in this room in a presentation, and I walked out with 5 pairs of socks, 3 bottle openers, and $20. It's the best presenter that I've ever seen in the P4 program. So if you get that guy, it was fantastic. My name is Kurt Burning. I graduated a year and a half ago, like Peter said. I was in the eScholar program my junior year and co-founded a nonprofit with my friend that we're still working on today, about 3 years later. I also studied abroad right before that, so I studied abroad in Australia, and I think that's something that helped open up my mind to these kind of possibilities, thinking differently, having a different perspective on issues. Since then, I applied for a Fulbright my senior year and got it to study in the UK. So I studied education and development, and there I wrote my dissertation on entrepreneurship and education. So I'm so into this idea of entrepreneurial mindset, entrepreneurial thinking, being an entrepreneur, and the most interesting part of that has been coming back to Portland and seeing all my friends who've now been graduated a year and a half. And as Ava's exactly right, they all have jobs. But I think how critically they're examining the market has to do with how entrepreneurial they are and how happy they are now. So I have an unnamed friend doing accounting for a big company. No offense if you want to be an accounting major. He's working about 80 hours a week, not for his own business, just for this company. He says, but in 2 years, I'll be done with this, and I'll be promoted, I'll be making a lot of money, then I can leave and I'll be happy somewhere else. And I just looked at him and thought, you just you don't get it, And I think we look for people in the entrepreneurship major who either get it or are starting to get it or are asking questions about getting it. And I didn't actually major in entrepreneurship, but I feel like I did through the eScholar program. Something I want to say is that opportunities to practice being an entrepreneur are all around you at UP. They're absolutely everywhere. For example, I was in Villa, and I was for 4 years, I was an RA for 2 years, and one of the best entrepreneurial training things that I did was lead drum squad with Jeff McPhee. Does anyone know the drum squad? Yeah. And that was such a good experience in leading people and trying to think of new ideas and letting other people, young leaders like Connor over there, experiment with things and develop things and learn how to thrive. So I would say everywhere you look around you, whether it be clubs, whether it be other companies starting up, you want to get involved in, there are experiences to practice being an entrepreneur, and that is the only way you can develop that mindset, is having the opportunity to put it into practice and gaining some of that confidence that can then help you when you actually go out and found a business. I was very jealous listening to Ava because I don't have any real company experience, I guess. In the nonprofit I founded, I worked part-time for about 3 years on that, so that's been a lot of good experience in applying for tax exemption and working with lawyers to get that done, having people give advice, fundraising, things like that, doing some consulting in the UK with other nonprofits, applying the experience I had to help them grow their business. And now, I'm refusing to get a job. Just like Howard mentioned, I'm living the dream of an entrepreneur. And it's so interesting because when I graduated from UP the last 3 months, all I could think about was, I need to have something. Everyone's pressuring me. Everyone is just asking all the time, what are you doing next? And finally I got the Fulbright and I was fine to go to the UK. I'm back, I just got back a couple weeks ago from England, and I'm not going to get a job. I'm just not going to. That's stupid. Not that it's not bad for some people. But what I want to say is that if you open your mind to different possibilities, you can find exactly what you're looking for. And I'm not guaranteeing that that's in the entrepreneurship scholar program or in the major. What I'm saying is all of you should be thinking critically about what makes you happy and about what you want to do for your career. So my next step is kind of going down to Central America and being almost an apprentice to some startup entrepreneurs there who are doing social entrepreneurship work, like Dr. Feldman was talking about. So spending a year or two there, getting paid to do some work for the companies, learning from these entrepreneurs, speaking a lot of Spanish, and coming back and kind of applying it to my own business. And that's exactly what I want to do. I'm doing precisely what I want to do with my life. And I think that is what the entrepreneurship major and e-scholars gives you the confidence to do. You don't have to fit within a system of pay or a system of company promotion. You can say, what is the precise thing I want to do? And you can get the confidence and skills to pursue that, which is what I feel that I'm doing. And I'll be leaving in a couple weeks. So I think that's all I have to say for now, and I'll let Peter talk. But if you have any questions for me about anything that I've said, or even me for the e-scholar program with Peter, I'd be very happy to answer them. And I will not give any of you $20. I'm sorry.
So do I get a mic or should I just
grab a
talk?
mic. Yeah.
Okay.
Got my.
All right, good evening. I'm Peter Record, and I'm director of this thing we call the FRAN Center. FRAN Center is for leadership, entrepreneurship, and innovation. And so that's actually a center of resources and programs that's open to all students any year. Random people literally walk in and say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this iPhone app, and just have no clue about how to make it a business. People come in wanting to start a nonprofit like Kurt did. So that's a resource open to all students. So if that's something that you're interested in knowing more about, come by the center. It's in Buckley 216. But if you forget that, just like Google UP Entrepreneurship, you'll find us. Also, the center, in partnership with the School of Business, does this program that they've been referring to that we call e-scholars or entrepreneur scholars. And so in that program, all students from across all of campus, not just business majors, not just seniors, entrepreneur scholars open to typically to juniors and seniors, but people typically apply in their sophomore year about now. And so students in that program, like Ava and Kurt were mentioning, actually take on a project, an opportunity, as Dr. Feldman said. So we always talk in entrepreneurship. So do you have an idea or do you have an opportunity? And so people pursue their opportunity through what we call opportunity assessment and actually develop a business plan. And that's all part of the sorts of training that these guys are talking about. And one of the nice things about that program, this year, for instance, we have 19 students. Let's see, 8 of those students are engineers. We have a biology major, who I think is actually here, We have 2 English majors, a history major, and a political science major, and 6 business majors. And everyone always says, well, wow, entrepreneurship, isn't that a business thing? And certainly for many of you, you're business students, and there's a business element. But as Kurt and Ava are describing, it's really about embracing what's out there and really taking on new challenges. So I really encourage all of you to consider all of the entrepreneurship programs, because we talk about these scholars, but we have some excellent programs in entrepreneurship and innovation in addition to these scholars. And it really depends on how deeply you want to get into the field. An entrepreneurship and innovation major is someone who really goes out and then wants to do a lot of things, make a lot of change. So you can get as deep or as surface into it as you want, or really encourage you to check it out. So thanks very much, and I think we're going to take questions now.
Yeah, so we'll open it up to questions for anybody on the panel, or for Peter for that matter. As well use the mic. That's great.
Hi. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. I'm just wondering what does the e-scholar program consist of travel-wise?
Well, are we still going to New York in the fall? Is that, okay, so you go to New York in the fall, and then in the spring they do an international trip and an elevator pitch competition, which is in Colorado usually, right?
Yes.
But I think it's beyond just traveling and going there and having fun traveling. Can you speak to it? It's so invaluable, making yourself uncomfortable and putting yourself in these situations and reaching out to complete strangers. My project involved gyms and exercise studios, and so when I was in Brazil, it was really hard for me to reach out to those ahead of time. So I just walked into one and just started talking to the owner there, and he was like, "Oh yeah, come back tomorrow. We can sit down and chat." And people were just so nice and open and willing to talk, and the experience, that experience is just invaluable.
Yeah, I would just say they're some of the best travel experiences because there are really, really high expectations for what you're supposed to do, and there are really, really low regulations and rules. So at the end of the day, or at breakfast, we would all meet at 9 a.m., have breakfast, and the rest of the day would be your own. And you're expected to have business meetings, you're expected to make these contacts in advance. And then if you don't have those, you're kind of expected to go try and make something happen. We had these scholars walking into the Trump Tower and being like, "So, can I meet with someone here?" And they'd be like, "No, you can't, what are you trying?" But people were really taking this open schedule and trying to make something really big out of it. So I'd say the travel it's not really the secret places, although you get to, but it's this big opportunity to make of it what you want, which is the entrepreneurship program in general.
Any other questions?
Surely someone. Come on, guys. There you go.
All right. We got a couple.
I'll stand up. Oh, it is. I'll stand up. So, this question's for you. So, you work for a new startup company, correct? You play a large major role in it?
I wouldn't say I play a large role, but I'm an employee.
And you have a lot of tasks and responsibilities. So if the company does grow, and it goes to a point where it'll be sold off on a public exchange, and it'll become a public company, is the company looking to give you stock options or a large portion of or a reasonable portion of the share of the company as it grows and you start to delegate to your authorities to give you kind of an experience?
Yeah, so I can't talk into that in specifics, but they do offer options for their employees. I will share with you one of the biggest mistakes I made in my job, though, that kind of pertains to that. So I was given this stack of employee stock options, and my boss was like, "Hey, Eva, just hand these out to the people that they belong to." And I didn't realize that I knew they were private, but I didn't realize that they're extremely highly confidential, and it's no one can know how much one person has a share in the company over the other person. And so I was just like walking through the office, like, oh, here, Frank, like, here, blah, 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 like just passing them out, which was a really, really big no-no. And thankfully, people like weren't nosy and snooping and looking into the others, like over the shoulder and stuff, but I learned that they were extremely confidential. But yes, that is the benefit. The risk you have too is I can choose to, or you have to, you'll learn about stock options. I just can't explain them very well. But after you lapse a certain amount of time, you have the option to buy your option. I guess you have the option to buy your option, but you can't exercise it until the company goes public. So, if we never go public, then you lose that money. But there are a bunch of tax rules and stuff too, so you can switch you up. Does that kind of answer it?
And I think there was one more question, John. Is it back up?
Hi. I have a two-part question, and I just want to ask how long was the e-scholars program? Like, is it a semester, and how many people were allowed to go?
The program is a year, so it's both semesters, and then how many people are in it? Is that? My group, I think there was 19 of us. What about yours?
Yeah, I think the same.
Yeah. It's a nice small
Thank
size.
you.
Yeah.
Loud enough. Okay, so I'm part of a small but I think growing group of older people who are returning to school specifically because we already have our own small businesses that we've started. We're struggling, and the entrepreneurial program looks like exactly what was fitting the bill for turning our business around and making it awesome. Do you have any suggestions, any thoughts on the matter? This is a question to any and all of you. For someone who is older, who is returning to school, who's got a full plate, who can't necessarily make the club meetings, who maybe is finding that the program is really broad and my focus would be a little bit more specific because I've got a specific business in mind. Any advice, I would be really thrilled to hear.
That's a great question, and everyone has certain constraints that they have to deal with. You may have some additional ones that a 20-year-old may not have, so you have to deal with that. But what I would say is that as you go through the program, you can focus your work in virtually every class if you talk to the professor, and you can focus that work on things that would hopefully be relevant and pertinent to your entrepreneurial venture. I think most faculty members would be more than happy to be able to, so to speak, customize an assignment, assuming that the class is small enough that they can do that. I mean, if you're talking about a class of 40 and they're not going to have individual projects, perhaps, but if you've got classes where that kind of individual approach can be applied, you talk to the professor, you let them know this is what I'm interested in doing. And I think most of the faculty will be happy to help you on that. There's also independent studies that you can do where you can focus on, so let's call it a project for your business that might essentially replace another course that is in the curriculum as an elective. So I think that there are a number of different things that you can do to kind of customize your program that will make it, so to speak, more beneficial for you.
Yeah, I would say on that, the last 2 years of being a business major was almost all projects for companies, like very specifically, okay, we're learning this finance strategy, go to a company and implement it, and how to implement it. So if you could get a team together to work on your own business for every project that you do, I think that'd be fantastic, and if you pitch it the right way to the professors, they'd probably love that. And I would also say, if you haven't already, make best friends with someone in the entrepreneurship center, maybe Peter, maybe John, anyone, because I guess the greatest thing about being here is the resources. So if you seek them out and you say, I have a specific need, they can point you in the right direction. So just just take advantage of those people because they're fantastic.
Okay, other questions? So I don't know if we actually said it or not. By the way, so the e-scholars program is 9 credits altogether, and as David said, it's a year, so you do one class in the fall, one class in the spring, and then the other class is kind of an independent study class that you can do during the spring and summer, especially if you're one question I had though, that maybe you guys can comment on, or possibly Peter as well. Would you mind taking a couple of minutes and just talking about the business plan competition, the 100K competition? And that's something that's really open to any student, right?
Yeah, the business plan competition was an awesome experience. It was fairly stressful and required a lot of preparation, but you really had to know everything you were talking about because you were in front of all these judges that are just critiquing and kind of tearing apart your idea, which kind of hurts at times, but you become strong enough to take all their criticism and form it into something constructive. So I know that, I have no desire to work for myself in the near future. I like having a boss, but I'm still entrepreneurial in the respect that I work in an entrepreneurial company and I value entrepreneurship. And I like having health insurance. But the 100K challenge is awesome and you should participate in it.
Yeah, just to give a bit of context, it happens in April.
Yep, the end of the year.
Every year. So the end of the year, you have all year to prep for it. And anyone can enter. You have to have a certain amount of UP people on your team. But you can bring in people from the outside. You can enter as freshmen. You can enter all 4 years. You can get 4 chances at the 100K. And I would say it's a great, great learning opportunity because you're actually practically seeking out some funds, like going to venture capitalists and saying, hey, this is my business, this is my idea, here's my team, we're awesome, give us money. And it will either work or not work. And yeah, it's amazing that it happens on campus, and it's amazing that it happens every year, and that anyone can be a part of it. So if you have any inkling at all, you want to make it happen, at least give it a shot. It's a good thing.
So I'll just add that this year that's happening on the 26th of April. And in fact, the student who's here, who works in the center, is working with me right now to see if we can ramp it up a little for this coming year. So as Kurt mentioned, though, it's open to all students. We've had freshmen do it before. We've had people who literally we had never met in the center apply, do the competition, and win it. They never took an entrepreneurship class before in their life. So you should definitely consider checking that out.
Okay.
All right, yeah, and there's actually a nonprofit category as well. And Kurt, you and Kenny won that, right?
Yeah.
So they got some funding for their company. Any last question out there?
Yeah.
One more. All right, then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I know you guys are talking about that. Actually, I was just going to add that business plan competition, there's also $3,000 additionally if you can address the needs of a senior citizen. There's more details about it, but yeah, there's an extra $3,000 there if you can squeeze that. So, that was it.
Very good.
All right, well, let's thank our panel.